Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I am tired, I am weak, I am worn. Through the storm, through the night, lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. When my way grows drear, precious Lord, linger near. When my life is almost gone, hear my cry, hear my call, hold my hand lest I fall. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. When the darkness appears and the night draws near and the day is past and gone, at the river I stand, guide my feet, hold my hand, take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home.
Thank you, Michael. Welcome, everybody. Welcome those of you on Zoom. Welcome, everybody. My name's Eileen Wiard, and this is Taos United Community Church, where everybody's welcome, no matter what you believe, when you believed it, what you want to believe, what you will never, ever believe again. This house of prayer belongs to you, and we're really glad you're here. And today we're really honored to have a special person give us the message, and that's Reverend Dr. Ted Wiard, founder of Golden Willow Retreat and good friend and loved one and healer in our community. We are so glad that you're here. Thank you. Okay, so we have some announcements. Who wants to go first? Steve, why don't you go first?
Thank you. I just want to say I've been asked to preach next Sunday, and you all are welcome. Ted and I preach better when the house is full, and I don't know if I can get the Wired contingent, but I just want to say you're welcome next Sunday, and may God bless us all.
Thanks. And Jerry has an announcement.
Well, I didn't come to announce this, and I don't claim to be a good preacher, but following Steve, the following Sunday, I'll be speaking. We have this rotation going on a reboot of American religion, just before Thanksgiving. Just wanted to announce again, as I did last Sunday, that on Saturday, next Saturday, folks that want will be traveling from here to the base of the Pedernal to remember Rosemary Ridgello and scatter ashes, followed by lunch at the Abiquiu Inn. If you're interested in doing that, it's kind of a full day thing. We'll leave here at 8, probably get back around 3 o'clock because it's about a 2.5 hour drive to the trailhead. But would love to have you join us. Please let me know today if you're here and want to go, want to join us, and we'll carpool from here at 8 on Saturday.
Thank you, Jerry.
But Rosemary was here briefly with us this morning.
Yeah.
You didn't know it,
Ashes.
but her ashes came in. There was supposed to be a handoff of ashes, but then that got complicated, so come back for Saturday for more.
As chair of the search committee, I just wanted to let people know that our search for a new pastor is ongoing. We are waiting for the right person, and we know that person's going to come to us, and it's just a matter of linking us up. So we as a committee have someone else to look at, and then maybe even someone else to look at coming up. So we're doing that, and I just want to keep you informed that this is not lost. Okay.
I have an announcement.
You do. Dawn, please.
Good morning, all. Last Sunday, I talked to you about the Open and Affirming Coalition with the United Church of Christ, and I didn't have much information with me, so I didn't do a very good job of informing you. But your generous support for the coalition strengthens our mission to build a church and a world where all of God's children are welcome. And Dr. Katrina Roseborough Marsh is the executive director of the Open and Affirming Coalition. And she states that together we can construct a world in which every person,
While they're
regardless.
doing that kind of stuff, what did you think about what Lorna just said?
Excuse me, I'm just going to ask people on Zoom to and stay muted. Thank you, because we all hear if you talk things.
Together we can construct a world in which every person, regardless of sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, or even religious affiliation, is accorded the respect and dignity they deserve. And so she has a story about a man named Jonah, and if you'd like more information about that, I can give it to you after the service.
Thanks, Dawn.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that's it on the announcements, yes? All right, moving on. If you could all just take a comfortable seat. We're very, very excited to begin this service, and Ted is going to offer an opening prayer, but I'm going to offer a time. So if you could just close your eyes, take a deep breath, breathe in this beautiful, beautiful mountain air. Breathe out anything that might be weighing on your mind. Do that a couple times.
Good morning. It's good to see everybody here and those of you on Zoom. And let's stay with that energy and just have a prayer. Let us pray. Great Creator, dear Lord, Mother, Father, God, Infinite Spirit, and all the names that allow one to connect with you for safety, love, and warmth and connection. We thank you for this moment. We thank you for this day. We thank you for our neighbors, and we thank you for our family and our community. We thank you for the ability to Zoom. Even though we might have despised it at one point, it's allowed us to continue to connect. And we thank you for everything that allows us all to be here. We thank you for Eileen, for keeping this going and being that bridge that allows us to come together today. We ask for blessings in this day and every day forward. And we ask for anything that is holding us down. May we feel just a little bit of light as you hold us as well. All my relations, amen. You're up.
Thank you. So next in our service, we have a tradition of coming forward, taking a candle, lighting it, and bringing with it whatever our prayer is today, whatever we're holding in our heart today. So I invite you all to come in one by one. Take a candle, light it, and while we're lighting candles, we're going to sing the song, into the mystic, which nobody does better than Michael Ferga. So when you're ready. It's number
20.
20.
We were born before the wind, also younger than the sun. Here the bonny boat was one, and we sailed into the mystic. Hark now, hear the sailors cry. Smell the sea and feel the sky. Let your soul and spirit fly into the mystic. And that foghorn blows, you know I will be coming home. Yes, when that foghorn blows, I wanna hear it, don't have to fear it, and I wanna rock your gypsy soul, just like way back in the days of old, and magnificently we will float into the mystic. When that foghorn blows, you know I will be coming home. Yes, when the lonesome foghorn whistle blows, I gotta hear it, don't have to fear it, and I wanna rock your gypsy soul, just like way back in the days of old, and together we will flow into the mystic. Too late to stop now.
Thank you, Michael. The first reading today is from Thich Nhat Hanh. It's called Take My Hand. Take my hand. We will walk. We will only walk. We will enjoy our walk. without thinking of arriving anywhere. Walk peacefully, walk happily. Our walk is a peace walk. Our walk is a happiness walk. Then we learned that there is no peace walk, that peace is the walk, that there is no happiness walk, that happiness is the walk. We walk for ourselves. We walk for everyone, always hand in hand. Walk and touch peace every moment. Walk and touch happiness every moment. Each step brings a fresh breeze. Each step makes a flower bloom under our feet. Kiss the earth with your feet. Print on earth your love and happiness. Earth will be safe when we feel in us enough safety. And the next readings are going to be done by Rob Wiard. You don't have to have the name Wiard to participate, but it doesn't hurt.
Good morning. Glad to meet all of you. Let's see, first reading will be Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed, the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his or her good, pleasing, and perfect will. The next one was an anonymous author, but Ted passed it on, and it's Will to Will Thy Will. The path is never easy. The challenges come to show. In these opportunities, we will all grow. In your hand, you hold the master plan. Do not deny, meet with eyes open, for it is well met and now spoken. Do not lean on superficial wealth. Growth can never be obtained. If chained, you remain. Masked is the journey to self-changed. The book shall be revealed page by page, self-witnessing a growth of sage. On inner demons, do not linger. Stand you now at wisdom's gate, but embrace and be at peace. Step through to knowledge and your fate. Thank you.
Thank you, all of you. Michael, wherever you went, thank you for your music is always a candle. And I was so touched last time I was here, and so I want to honor you and thank you for that. Every once in a while, a little brother gets to tell a big brother that he's got to do a reading. But I picked Rob due to one of my deepest shadow times that we're going to talk about today. I received a letter, and it was actually just the poem Lean on Me. And so when I was looking for this other piece and it popped up, and that difficult piece of being so deep, sometimes it's hard to find that person to lean on. And then we got to walk through that gate and find that sage to realize we all need to lean on one another so we can be a whole community. So I just wanted to thank you, Rob. It's not your favorite world. And I'll set my timer. Unlike Steve, I'm not a preacher, but I'm a darn good storyteller. And so I want to make sure that I stay so we all can do our day as well. Thank you for those candles. And I just wanted to think about the different pieces of sitting down and having coffee and then meeting in my office and talking about the shadow side. And not as much psychologically the shadow side, we can look at it that way, but also just in those deepest, darkest spots. And so thanks for being here. And we get to come together, and the light is here. I thought, even though I was so making sure, and even the higher power Verizon made sure all my clocks were right, I kind of freaked out as I pulled up and everybody was coming out of another meeting, and I thought I missed the whole day. So I'm grateful to be here rather than sitting in my office missing it. One Easter in North Carolina, we did miss it, and it was Easter, so we pulled up and was wondering where everyone was walking out. Yeah, we missed Easter service, but I wasn't speaking that day. When I was asked to do this, and I'm humbled and honored, so thank you, and thank you for having this space. I thought about it, and this timing, besides being the right timing, we're moving into some of the darkest days as far as the daylight, but also it seems we're moving into some dark days within the world. Also, if one believes, and I don't pretend to know what the veil is, but the veil is the thinnest. Rosemary got to join us to start the day. You'll take her up to Pedernal, or to the base of Pedernal. Pedernal for Taos Pueblo and for many others, that was kind of the radar tower, because they could send signals for what's coming from the west and then coming this direction. So it seems so appropriate today. The first piece I had by Thich Nhat Hanh, I actually was thinking about the Fergusons. And what happened after my daughters died is they walked over to my house and sat with me and shared their story to give me the chance to walk with them, knowing that that path still was a drag. So, Alan, you're here. I know Lucy couldn't be, so you were part of that light. It brings me to today of this shadow place, or in our darkness, where do we find light? And we also find that light is not sugar, and people can't throw sugar at us. Rob and I joke a lot about searching for the gold. It's not usually the blingy things on the side. It's not the shiny things, but it's the gold. So long ago in 96, 97, I found myself in a hotel room alone on a dark night, very stormy night in Nags Head, with nothing, wanting to die, finding no reason to live. And being in that shadow place of my brother's dead, my wife is dead, my daughters are dead, and I'm sitting in here in a very messed up relationship. And luckily the Beatles came to me, and Rocky Raccoon went back to his room with nothing but Gideon's Bible. So I reached over to the drawer and pulled out Gideon's Bible. And I just was like, okay, I'm going to read whatever passage there is. And so, of course, it was Psalms 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not be in want. He restores my soul. He guides me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley, the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. And that was not true. I was so empty. I threw down the Bible, went back into fetal position, and cried. Just prayed for the sun to come up, even though I didn't think I could pray, because there was no God, and if there was a God, God was evil. So I found myself in this place where Michael's music was not going to touch my heart. These candles of community were not going to touch my heart. But somehow I made it through the night. And I realized I needed to do something rather than just hope to die, because in hoping to die, it meant I was not living. And so why was I taking up space on this earth? And yes, I yearned for my children especially, because that rule had been broken so deeply. How does someone take a 9 and a 6-year-old from a father who's already had their mama die? But I made it through, and I checked myself into a treatment center. It was for drugs and alcohol, and I didn't do either. But that's okay. As an addictionologist, I do know when someone knocks on the door at a drugs and alcohol program and says, no, I don't drink, no, I don't use. You know they use and they minimize, and they definitely do. So they said, come on in. And they did. I had lost my drug of choice, called my daughters. And I'd lost the dealer. And I understood craving. Because for one more hit, I would be willing to die. Just one more hit, just of holding them. So I was in the appropriate place. But something happened while I was there. I had time. I had to pause. As Genevieve said when she was just a good old wonderful barista over at the World Cup, and I walked in with my co-author for my book, and she of course went on her piece, and it's what we get to do when we're that young. And descanso means pause. It means a time of rest. And my co-author was from North Carolina, was just in phase, so it's one of the first lines in our book. But I had found a descanso. I hadn't found, I was led to a descanso. And in that descanso, I had time to hold and sit and be and realize even my daughters were not my higher power. They were not my drug of choice, but they're still a gift even today. And so I was going through this piece and I was working on this piece, and rightfully so, the staff would have their concerned staffings and be like, we think Ted's going to kill himself. We need to do a new safety plan, da-da-da-da. Maybe he needs to go home, da-da-da-da. But I was working so hard. And this treatment center didn't allow anyone to have individual therapy. Good, bad, or not, it doesn't matter. But everything was we, our, and us. Because me on my own path is going to get in trouble. And there would be people begging at the door, I need to get in, I need to talk to you alone. I just kept working. If I do this, and all of a sudden I was called in there alone. They're like, ooh. And so I probably figured I did something wrong. And I'm like, God, I can't figure out what I did wrong. I just can't figure that out. And so finally they came in, and part of the third step is to turn your will over to a higher power of your understanding, to will thy will. And they're like, Ted, we need you to find a higher power. And I was like, well, if there is a God, it's not a good God. I keep thinking there's a God because I keep praying to die or find a reason to be here. But then if I don't think there's a God, but I'm praying to God, then the God must be bad. And the person said, no, I get it. I wasn't being defiant either. But I was in the depths of alchemy, the heat of everything. Why? And if there is something larger than me, why am I being treated this way? And he said, what are 3 things you believe in? And I'm still thinking like a dad. My daughters had only died 6 months earlier. So I go, unconditional love, patience, and compassion. And he took the little chalkboard, because it was long enough ago that it was chalkboard. I still love chalkboards. And he threw up the chalk, walked out of the room, and goes, there's your higher power. And he left, and I'm sitting on the chair. Do I leave? Do I stay? He came back in with a big smile on his face. And he goes, Ted, to start with, wherever you end up going, a higher power means you took a moment and you ran it through something outside of you that makes sense. And then you brought it back in to take action. So you've taken your will, run it through something else, and brought it back to do your passion. I'm like, okay. And still pretty, just thing. I'm a good crock pot. And so all those carrots and celery and everything were put in. And I went back to the big group. And the big group was very structured. And I was the 4th seat on this side of the curve. And so I went to sit down. And right as I was starting to sit down, as people were working on their 10th or their 3rd step within recovery, the woman who was speaking said, God is understanding. And I right away wanted to take that Gideon's Bible once again and just wick it right at her face. Not really, but I put up a huge resistance. But then she did something, and in my clinical world, they call it a phenomenological transformative moment. She did something that went so deep and so much larger than me and this little computer I have. She goes, and what I mean by God is understanding is God is standing under. And as she did this move, something happened. And I felt held. To the point that I actually felt like I sat 4 inches deeper in my seat because I could finally trust the seat. Now, if we go back to the mid-70s when we first arrived in Taos, one of the things the teacher would do is the teacher would tell the class in Spanish and have me come up to his desk, and while I was gone, they would put a tack on my chair. And so I never felt safe, and I felt very alone and very different. And so that chair has some reasons also of safety, but taking it to God and standing under and understanding God somehow made me sense to me, and I relaxed. And I felt myself, my shoulders dropped. I probably took a breath for the very first time since my daughters had died. Maybe I wasn't alone. Maybe there was a bigger picture. Just maybe. So I took that, and we were allowed to walk around the pond as long as we were willing to take a pee test when we got back to make sure we weren't snipping on anything out in the pond. And I was more than willing to do that. And so I was walking around, and it was 1996. The fire that summer had just burnt up over by Cuesta. And I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about it, and for some reason that's what came to me. And even though that's not how this fire started over there, we didn't know at that time. I didn't know. I was thinking, maybe God is not evil. I don't believe that God looked over by Cuesta and said, I'm taking down that ponderosa pine. That ponderosa pine's going down with this lightning. I just didn't believe that. So how could I be any different than the ponderosa pine? So I realized the universe, the earth, larger than that, does. Always working back to a homeostasis. Just like Rosemary getting to go home to Pater Null. And with that idea, it's like, okay, the universe does. Things happen. Wives die. Wars happen. This computer causes a lot of different things to happen. Children die. These pieces happen, just like the music was saying. And in the midst of the universe having these pieces happen, called life, God is understanding. God stands under and walks with me through the universe. So all of a sudden I can notice the candles. All of a sudden I can notice the music. All of a sudden I can laugh because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Wiards in this room. and we don't even know how many are up here. And how beautiful is that? All these different years and family from different mothers. But all from Mother Earth. And so all of a sudden I could start finding these pieces. Earlier on, as I'm sitting there thinking about this idea, because as Genevieve knows, because she was my research assistant for my doctorate, once something gets caught in here, it likes to move around, and it likes to be cut up and put in the crock pot, but then maybe glued back together and put in the oven, and whatever it is, we'd be working. I'd come up with this idea, and Genevieve would go, Ted, we're doing this much of the pie in research. We're not doing this much. Ted, we're doing this much. So I'm sitting there thinking about all these pieces, and I thought back. And I also thought back in my own life of different things, but not just the atrocities. And along with that were different pieces of light. First of all, of course, my daughter's eyes and their love and their unconditional love. I still remember being in the Phoenix airport, having Amy here, Carrie here, all their stuff. We're trying to get to the airplane, and Amy diarrhea's down my whole leg. So what's my job? Keep on walking, keep on walking, one more step. And that's become such a humorous piece. It's such a living piece that lives on through me. Keep on walking, even on a crappy day. Literally. So their teachings get to continue. So what I found is, as I was thinking back through life, and even to Rob's amazing letter that he doesn't even have to remember, of love you, bro, with a poem on Lean on Me, which I could not do at that time because I was in the desert alone. All these different pieces, even to the point of being in the Dantree rainforest on Thanksgiving Day. That's coming up. Well, guess what? We're a little ethnocentric. They don't celebrate Thanksgiving in Australia. Surprise! And I could find no gratitude, even though I'm in the most beautiful forest. Walking on this path going, I just need to die. I can't be here. I just want to be with my children and with Leslie. And 4 turkeys ran across the trail. And those turkeys ran across the trail. I turned around and ran, not from fear, but I ran all the way back, not all the way to the parking lot, got in the car, drove to Cairns, found a library to make sure there were turkeys in the... Because there's no way that could be a God shot. There's no way that could have been a spiritual moment. Because I wasn't ready for a phenomenological transformative moment. I was still in the heat of alchemy, of connecting with God. After leaving, I ended up at ministerial school because I was still wondering about this God thing. And so for the next 3 years, I studied ministerial school. The last year was How Am I of Service? And one was I'll never be a preacher. But I will be a storyteller. And I'll be someone who can give light in that moment. As a therapist, this comes huge. All of us, no matter what our lives look like, have had abandonment severs within the brain. We all have our story. One of the biggest fears in our world is being abandoned. That might be being abandoned from oil. Most of our wars deal with oil and that addiction. It might be from a friend. It might be anything, but that's where we start to pull away and find ourselves in that hotel room, in fetal position, throwing Gideon's Bible back in the drawer. Today I'd now open up the other drawer and see if the Mormon's book is in that one. But I've learned a little bit since then. But what I've learned is if I have an understanding God, a God standing under that makes sense to me, even if it's 3 words on the board, I will not be abandoned, which then allows my brain to step back and be more mindful and to connect and even show up in those horrendous days like the song and know my job is to take one more step. I am not guaranteed joy, but as the Dalai Lama would say, happiness is the balance of joy and sorrow. My job is to try to keep these balanced by reaching out, remembering I am not abandoned. So that's the message I wanted to give today. None of us, in my beliefs, are abandoned. And we can come from that place of knowing we are held. Even in our free fall, we are held. Even in this crazy, wild computer that's saying all these other things, we are held. Humbly and gratefully, I get to sit with people in their last breaths, and they are so held. even if their body's not quite doing that. The energy, and there is holding. In this room today, there is holding. So I just wanted to share that today and talk about trying to bring that balance of the shadow and allowing the light in. Because a little bit of light changes the shadow. But it doesn't mean, and this was hard for me, that it's all supposed to be light. Within that shadow is the descanso, is the sanctuary, so I can continue to evolve and grow with a higher power of my understanding. So thank you for that. And now we get to have, am I correct? 2 minutes of reflection.